I read this book in 26 minutes and I'm feeling inspired to be an agent of change because I better understand connective marginality, cool power moves, and trends. So let's get into it. This is 26-minute reads with me, Mya D, and this reading vlog is kind of like my accountability space because in these videos, I share with you my takeaways from my current read. And this is book number 2 of my 26 to 26 challenge where I'm reading 26 minutes per day. So this is more like slow reading rather than speed reading. It's also an act of self-love, an investment into myself, and a way of providing myself with some consistency in an ever-changing world. And I hope that invites you to join me along in this journey by reading along with me and dropping your thoughts in your thoughts in the comments below so there's an actual dialogue going on. Well, this week I read pages 87 through 122 of Dancing the Afrofuture by Dr. Halifu Osumari. And let's get into these takeaways. Takeaway number 1, as I get my notes, takeaway number 1 is connective marginality. And on page 87, we find these words, and I quote, "It articulated my theory of connective marginality that became influential in positioning me as a new voice in hip-hop scholarship," end quote. In this section of the book, Dr. Osumari is transitioning her dissertation into a publication. That publication is a book that examines people's engagement with hip-hop, and more specifically, people that are not from the continental United States. And I think that one of the overarching themes and questions is what makes hip-hop a global phenomenon. And I believe that when we view hip-hop as a culture that's not associated with the color of our skin, our religion, and where we actually live, then connective marginality can be seen as a factor that would help people from various parts of the world find community and feel heard. Hip-hop is used as a mechanism to amplify the voices of the unheard as they speak to power about feeling marginalized in areas like class, historical oppression, age, and culture. Here's a question. How do you feel about the terms marginalized and minority? Do you feel like they're one and the same? Do you differentiate between the two of them? And if so, how do you do it? Let me know in the comments below as we jump into this, we return to this takeaway. A connected feeling of being heard, and or rather a connected feeling of being unheard and unseen or undervalued. Connective marginality is one of the factors that allows hip-hop to create a global community. Hip-hop provides a vehicle for marginalized to speak to power, to voice their challenges and their concerns. In an ideal situation, I feel like those concerns would be heard and changes would be made that would increase safety and decrease violence. So for example, there were ideas and concerns that were brought up by NWA that predated the LA riots, and also by the group NTM, a French rap group that predated the 2005 riots. And in this article, there's an article that Dr. Osumari writes that discusses the experience of hip-hop culture in areas like England, France, Japan, and Russia. And the author in that space describes how youth felt marginalized in those 4 areas: class, historical oppression, culture, and age. And as we step into takeaway number 2, I feel like this is a great time to remind you that while I do have several decades of experience as a dancer, an educator, and curriculum writer, I am not the know-all be-all for this book. I'm simply providing a space for dialogue and inviting us to have that dialogue so that we are better educators for those that are in front of us and those that are coming soon. Those that are coming soon. Okay, let's get back into this. Takeaway number 2 is cool power moves. On page 97, we find these words, and I quote, Black people and the perceptions of Blackness are at the core of hip-hop internalization, and capitalism thrives on the latest cool trending moves of Black youth, end quote. The essence and the aesthetic of the cool has been and will continue to be discussed. At this time, I'm thinking more specifically about the monetization of cool moves in a capitalist society and how the body that is performing those cool moves isn't always the benefactor of that monetization. If this is a newer concept to you, I am going to offer, or if you would like a quick reference, I'm going to offer the book Black Performance Theory as a resource. And because it was part of our 21 to 21 challenge, I'm going to leave a link to it in the details below. So make sure you check that out if you need or want to. Social media made the Black dancing body hyper visible. And I feel like it did it in a similar way as MTV, right? MTV increased accessibility to music and dance, bringing it right into your home, wherever you were in the world, as long as you had access to a television and access to the channel. The MTV era also brought about a layer, influx rather, of self-trained dancers. They're watching the videos and they're learning the choreographies and being exposed to different types of music and dance, right? So they're teaching themselves. And this is very similar to what we see with TikTok, because as long as you have access to that app, then you can learn those moves and you can learn those songs regardless of where you are in the world. The author also states that on the same page, so on that same page, on page 97, the author also states, and I quote, all pervasive cultural appropriation and its effects on Black culture itself through exponentially more multifaceted as hip hop blew up globally into a multi-billion-dollar industry. So the cool moves, those cool power moves, created a multi-billion-dollar industry. And I'm still left to wonder how some of those powerful movers benefited from that multi-billion-dollar industry. I'm sure I can do some digging and find some answers, but you might be watching this and be a hip hopper yourself, or a hip hop researcher, a hip hop scholar. So I would love to have answers to, and to have clarity about some of those earlier hip hoppers, like the Rocksteady crew that traveled globally. Did they reap the financial rewards of their power moves? Do they have any power in Black dance or hip hop dance in the current space that we live in? Let me know your thoughts. Let me see what you know, share what you know rather, in the comments below as we step into our final takeaway, which is takeaway number 3, and that is trends. The terms decolonizing dance education and anti-racism in dance can be found on page 103 of the book and are described as trendy buzz terms. Now, let me know in the comments below if you've heard these terms before and what kind of thoughts or feelings they bring up for you. I recently completed a project management certification, right? And one of the items discussed in that course was viewing a problem as an opportunity to change, an opportunity to learn, or an opportunity to do something different. In our previous book, Culturally Responsive Teaching by Geneva Gay, the author reminds us of the negative effects that omission and myopic analysis of ethnically diverse people, issues, and cultures have. And that finding space for that common humanity can be used as a doorway into teaching about teaching a group about another group without devaluing one group over another. So not valuing one group over another, right? Finding that space of common humanity and using that as a doorway into learning about things that are different than your understanding and your experience of the world. This idea is present on page 103 of the book via the words of two amazing people. So I'm going to use them and their actual words as I end out this takeaway. The first is coming from Niama McCarthy Brown, and it is, here we go, quotes, "Dance educators have the power to nurture and support students' connection to their kinesthetic cultural heritage in addition to Western dance or other dance forms. One does not have to displace the other." End quote. Our second quote is coming from Dr. Takia Noor Amin, and it reads, "As dance educators, we have to do more to disrupt this kind of faulty thinking that disregards one's own culture, experience, and favor over something deemed of higher value." End quote. So we revisit those terms, right? Decolonizing dance education and anti-racism in dance, they can be more than a trendy term that's used as a band-aid to cover up a boo-boo. They can actually be used as a call to action, an opportunity to do the actual work and finding out what's the root of that boo-boo, doing the healing work, and creating some actual change. But what say you? Let me hear your thoughts. Let me read your thoughts in the comments below. I'm always looking for a good book to read, so feel free to drop a title in the comments below or just a book emoji so that I know that you were here with me. Remember to check out those details. This has been 26-minute reads with me, Mya D. Like and subscribe if you liked this video or found it interesting in any other kind of way. Stay blessed, take care, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.